Dust rolled across the barren plains as the sun sank behind the jagged hills, leaving a burning orange glow that stretched over the frontier town of Redwater. It was a town ruled not by law, but by fear of the two most powerful men in the territory. Sheriff Abram Colt, known for his iron fist and unshakable pride, and Silas Blackthorne, the notorious outlaw whose name alone could silence a saloon. Their feud was older than the fences that lined the ranches, older than the railroad tracks that cut through the land. It started as a dispute over stolen cattle, turned into a blood-stained rivalry, and became a legendary hatred passed on through every campfire whisper of the Wild West. Caught between this storm was Clara Colt, the sheriff's only daughter, a 20-year-old woman with fire in her heart and rebellion in her eyes. She grew up hearing her father's stories of Silas Blackthorne, how the man was ruthless, heartless, and born from the devil's own shadow. But fate has a cruel sense of humor, because the first time Clara truly met Silas, she wasn't looking at a monster. She was looking at a man who saved her life. It happened on the edge of the prairie when Clara's wagon wheel snapped, throwing her off balance and trapping her beneath the heavy wooden side. Coyotes circled at dusk, their glowing eyes closing in. She screamed for help, but the plains answered only with wind, until a single gunshot echoed through the dying light. Silas Blackthorne rode into view like a ghost rising from the desert. His black coat fluttered behind him, his horse kicking up clouds of dust. With quiet strength he lifted the wagon, freeing her as though it weighed nothing. She expected danger, but instead she saw gentleness in his gloved hands, worry in his dark eyes. "You're Abram's girl," he said, almost in disbelief. Clara should have run. She should have remembered everything her father taught her. But something in Silas's voice held her still, something human and wounded that no outlaw tale had ever mentioned. Over the next weeks, they met in secret along the riverbed where the desert willows grew. Clara learned the truth that her father would never admit: Silas wasn't the villain she had been raised to fear. He was once a rancher wrongfully accused, a man pushed into outlaw life by corrupt men who hid behind badges and bank vaults. He fought not for greed, but for survival. And slowly, dangerously, inevitably, she fell for him. Silas tried to push her away, tried to warn her that their love was a fuse burning toward an explosion. But Clara was as stubborn as the desert wind. She believed they could rewrite fate, carve their own future like pioneers breaking new land. Fate, however, had other plans. One night, Sheriff Abram Colt discovered a locket Clara kept hidden, a silver locket engraved with Silas's initials. The sheriff's rage could have shaken the very walls of Redwater. He swore that no daughter of his would ever love a criminal. He sent out riders, bounty hunters, and deputies with a single order: bring Silas in dead or alive. Clara escaped under moonlight, racing through the dark to warn Silas. But she arrived too late. Blackthorne's hideout was already surrounded. The sheriff himself stood at the front, rifle raised, hatred burning hotter than the desert sun. Silas walked out slowly, hands lifted, not for surrender but to protect the woman he loved. Clara ran between them, begging her father to stop, her voice trembling but bold. "Abram," Silas said, using the sheriff's name instead of his title. "If you want blood, take mine. But your hatred has punished her enough." The sheriff, breathing hard, aimed his gun. For a terrifying moment, the world held its breath. The desert wind stopped, the horses stilled, even the stars seemed to freeze. Then came a sound no one expected: Clara stepping in front of Silas, shielding him with her own body. "Father," she whispered, "if you kill him, you kill me too." Her words cracked something inside the sheriff that bullets never could. He lowered his rifle, not out of mercy but out of shock that his daughter would sacrifice everything for the man he despised. Before anyone could speak, a shot rang out from the darkness. A bounty hunter, eager for reward, fired at Silas. Clara screamed. Silas shoved her aside as the bullet tore through his shoulder, throwing him to the ground. Chaos exploded. Gunfire roared. Horses panicked. Deputies scattered. Clara knelt beside Silas, sobbing as she pressed her hands to his bleeding wound. The sheriff stood stunned, realizing for the first time that the feud he clung to so tightly was destroying the only family he had left. Abram Colt dragged Clara and Silas out of the firefight, firing warning shots into the air. His deputies froze at the sight of their sheriff protecting the outlaw he had sworn to kill. Silas survived the night. Clara never left his side. The sheriff, though fierce and proud, finally saw truth through the smoke of hate. He offered Silas a deal: leave Redwater forever and never return, and Clara would remain safe. But Clara refused to be left behind. She rode away with Silas at dawn, leaving her father watching from the ridge as the two silhouettes vanished into the sunlit horizon. Word of their escape spread like wildfire across the Wild West. Some called it madness, others called it betrayal. But many whispered something else, that for the first time in Redwater's bloody history, love had won a battle that bullets never could. And the Wild West was never the same again.